Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Good evening. Sorry we're later than usual, but we were just watching the darts, which I can see from the chat a lot of yous were as well. And Luke Humphries, Leeds United fan, beat Manchester United fan Luke Littler. So happy days. I hope you're all doing well. 187 of you waiting there, so please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you subscribe to Ought Know Better, and make sure you check out Evie across her socials as well. While we're on the topic of Ought Know Better, we've got Smarty with us, who isn't a regular, normally in the chat though, but it's great to have you here, mate. How are you doing, bro?
Bonjour. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Good. I'm doing really well, actually, nice to be fair. Yeah, I shaved my head earlier on. I went on the sunbeds again, so I'm starting to feel myself again, Smarty. Do you know what I mean? That's the main thing. It's good. Luke, how are you, man?
Yeah, man, all good, all good. Feel like I was only on talking to you. Was it yesterday I was over here?
I think so, yeah. With JT, yeah, with JT.
Yeah, JT. Looking like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Yeah, mate, all good, all good. Really happy for Luke Humphries, by the way. Fairy tale story came to an end, and you know what?
Yeah,
with a bit of scum fan on it, I wouldn't have minded him winning just because of the fairy tale. But I always wanted Humphries. Always going to back your boy, aren't you?
Yeah, of course, yeah, for sure. Evie, welcome back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've never really watched darts before, and I found myself getting really quite, enthusiastic and emotional over, some, middle-aged man dressed up as a 16-year-old hitting a dartboard. So yeah, it was good.
That's a great show. Definitely. Right, tonight we're here to talk about the old guard. Obviously, it's transfer season. I was quite surprised to see this morning, this afternoon, really. Chats of Luke Ayling potentially getting sold to Middlesbrough, which surprised me. I think it's a great move for Luke Ayling, and I think it's one he'll definitely take up. He probably won't have to move. It's only up the road, only up the A19. It's a good club. It's a well-run club. They've got a great coach, Michael Carrick. It seems like a smart move for him. Is anyone else as surprised as me that he's managed, or looks like he could get a move to Middlesbrough?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it was on here or no better, Joe. We were talking about the old guard, if you like, and where we saw them, I suppose. And I don't think any of us envisioned him being at, arguably a team that should be probably pushing for the playoffs this season. As his next move or his career-ending move, or how old is he? 33.
Yeah, he's getting on, and he's
32, 33. So yeah, I mean, he's probably going to sign a two-year contract, I should imagine, which is more than he's going to get offered, if anything, here. So yeah, man, I expected maybe a lower end championship side potentially, or even a hero's return to Yeovil, something along those lines. For having a year out there. So, but yeah, clearly not in the plans. Will I be sad to see him go? Yeah, I will. Yeah. But that's all sentiment attached to it, and the promotion and that. But I will be sad, and I'll be sad to see him line up against us potentially. But he's just not good enough.
No, I think that's fair. I think we can all agree he's not cutting the mustard anymore. I'm a bit like you, though. I'm sad to see him leave, to be honest, but also understand it and get it, because I think, I think earlier on in the season there was talk like Smarty of like, oh, these lads would be great coaches to keep around the place, but we forget they also have mortgages to pay and mouths to feed at home, and I know they're on a lot more money than any of us can ever think of, but ultimately it's all relative, innit? Their houses cost more than what our houses do, etc. So even the same with Cooper, and we'll touch on Cooper a little bit later on, as much as we'd like to see them stay around, they also need to go and get their last big payday, if you like.
It's one of them, and I suppose you don't really want to keep players that have still got something to offer another team hanging around like cheerleaders to a degree.
Yeah,
you know, they're worth more than that. Yeah, they're potentially icons of the club or whatever, but the last thing you want to see is obviously Luke Ayling, you know, panning out the rest of his career sweeping frigging changing rooms after lads have been in there on a match day. You know, it's cruel to a degree, isn't it? So you'd like to see, obviously, he's done a lot for the club. He's been a massive part of our, obviously, trajectory, and then obviously, you know, equally as much as part of the relegation as well. But I think a lot of people, I would say the majority of the fan base will hold him in high regard, you know, wherever he ends up. And I honestly wish him good luck. You know, I've got nothing but good things to say about him. Yes, he's lost a yard of pace. No, he's not featuring regularly anymore, but he's still a top bloke. We'll never forget the ponytail, will we?
Yeah, exactly. Never forget, like, that goal. Even that goal against Manchester United, I know it sort of counted for nothing in the end, but that was an absolute rocket. Yeah, what a goal that was. And then obviously the goal against Huddersfield as well, Evie, that cross, and he volleys it into the back of the net, man. It's all great moments. I was quite surprised at some fans' reaction to him leaving, but listen, not everybody's the same. I think he will be remembered fondly. If there would never be any legends of any clubs if you were never allowed to remember players fondly, if you know what I mean, Evie.
Yeah, 100%.
I think maybe for some he's outstayed his welcome, but I think prior to this season we were still using him, we still needed him, and I think this season is when we've seen, right, okay, you're no longer needed.
Could you imagine us against Middlesbrough in the final of the playoffs, and Middlesbrough go up having signed Ayling, and he's back in the Premier League next season? But no, I wish him, you know, nothing. If the rumours are true, at the end of the day, they are all just rumours at the moment. Until it happens, well, Leeds just get so many rumours, you know, that circulate around at this time. So if he does go, I think he's been absolutely amazing for us. Yes, this year he's probably been more frustrating than helpful, although he did get us the goal that got us the point against West Brom, you know. So, you know, he has still contributed this season, even though I think we're all slightly relieved that we have other options now at right back, and that we don't have to fall back on him. I agree in the fact that he's still got enough left of him and in him to still have a professional career. But let's face it, probably 3 or 4 members of this kind of team or squad at least should have probably been gone a season or 2 ago. And if they stay any longer, they are probably starting to taint the records. You know, they're kind of the positive side, you know, instead of them being remembered for the promotion season with Bielsa, they'll be remembered for the fact that they couldn't keep up and conceded a silly penalty or whatever that lost us a game at this promotion push. So, yeah, I think if he has the opportunity, he doesn't have to move. You know, he can stay living where he is. You know, it's great for his family and his kids and stuff. So, yeah, no negativity from me in that one. And I think if the option is there for him, it is a lot higher than I would have thought. With you, Luke, I think probably a lower championship team is where I probably saw him. I wouldn't have seen him going back to Yeovil because they're in the National League. So that would be a massive drop off in wages. So we might as well just stay at Leeds for a coaching career if that was the case. But yeah, I hope he does get a move, in all honesty, for his playing career.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there'll be some Leeds fans out there. I think they're League One. This is what you hear all the time. League One, they're shit, they're this, they're that. So, you know, that probably does. Listen, I think he will add something to any championship squad because he has invaluable experience now as well that he's gained at Leeds United. A player that probably will annoy, or the next player we're going to talk about is probably will annoy some sections of the fan base. Like Jamie Dixon here says, look, all the old guard have to go. For me, there are some out there that say these players shouldn't and can't be here no longer. Jamie thinks fans are too sentimental, and there is a little bit of that. I hold my hands up to that. I'm a bit like that, and I won't shy away from it. And fans have their favourites regardless of what they say. But I want to talk about Liam Cooper because I look at the centre-back options Leeds United have, and currently we have Pascal Struijk, Joe Rodon, who's on loan, and we have Charlie Creswell and Liam Cooper. Now, Charlie Creswell, it looks like, if we're being honest, he's probably going to exit. He probably sounds like he has a pick of any championship side, really, by the sounds of all the reports you're reading. We're looking at this Ghanaian player from, where's he from again? Which club does he play for? Hammerby, that's the one.
Careful.
I know, yeah. So, yeah, a Deji might be coming in who can play on the right side or the left side. So, I think, right, with the amount of game time he's played this season, I think there's a chance Liam Cooper might get a year extension, which I know might send people a little bit wild, but I wanted to get your thoughts, folks, on it and whether or not it'd be a smart move to give him an extra year. We gave Ayling an extra year last season when he played a few games. So is there a chance we might do that, folks, or how would you feel? Would that go down like a lead balloon?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it would.
For me, I think we've got to be really, really careful letting too many senior or iconic, not even iconic, but the lads that the old guard, everyone calls them the old guard. I don't particularly like that terminology, but the players that have been around the club, that know the club, your Stuart Dallases, your Paddy Bamford, your Liam Coopers, your Aylings included in there. We've only got to look back to a couple of seasons ago when we let Berardi, Alioski, Hernandez go, and we looked at an actual shell of our former side, and it's really telling when you've played a sport at any level that those senior figures around the club bring a lot more than Saturday afternoon performances. So for me, we've got to be really, really careful with regard to letting this old guard just go because they're not good enough. Liam Cooper's shown it on Saturday that he's probably not good enough. We played against arguably the worst team to come to Ellen Road this season, and he still made mistakes. So he's probably not good enough. But is he good enough to be third, fourth, fifth choice currently? Probably, yeah, because we managed. And the couple of games that he's played in this season, we beat Watford 3-0. We beat Birmingham 3-0, although we got absolutely spanned by Southampton. But so yeah, for me, I think he probably does deserve that, dependent on the business that we've got brewing. But I would be very careful about how we handle this business, especially if we, as you mentioned there, Joe Rodon's only on loan, so effectively we've only got 3 centre backs at this club at the moment.
Yeah, and I think the key thing to think about here, Smarty, as well, right? When players enter the last 6 months of their deal, they're free to do what they want, right? Now, Leeds United currently sitting 4th. Now, there's no guarantees that we get promoted. Therefore, we don't sign Joe Rodon permanently. Therefore, Liam at that time could have already agreed to go to a Stoke. And we end the season with no Joe Rodon, no Liam Cooper, and saying, shit, we've got no centre-backs. We now have to dip into the market. And that's why and we keep seeing reports, Liam Cooper wants his future sorted, i.e., are you giving me a new contract? If not, I'm going to speak to someone else. So we are in a bit of a dangerous place, really.
Don't worry about it. We've got Max Verber coming back at end of season. What are you worried about?
That warrior.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we are at risk of obviously being a little bit shy in those places. But I've just got to echo what Luke's kind of touched on is these players, perhaps not Ayling because he's so far down the pecking list, but Cooper especially being the club captain. Are instrumental in developing the culture and making sure that everything can be as Leeds as we need it to be. Especially when you bring in new players and stuff into the club, trying to obviously establish themselves and having the old guard, as Luke said. We refer to them always. I think it's vital that we even just keep a couple of them, not in a kind of a cheerleady sort of a role, because that's maybe a little bit harsh on some of their performances or whatever. Cooper again. Didn't necessarily shower himself with glory, but he didn't do a bad job at the weekend. But, given the fact that we're playing such a lower sort of standard of opposition, there's a question mark on how much influence he can have over the team. So would you let Cooper go? Probably not. If there's an extension option, I'd probably like to see him get one, especially, given what he's done for the club and the fact that he's the captain. Ayling, I'd like to see him I'd like to see him leave, but I'd like to see him, get his opportunity to move somewhere else and get some game time. Dallas is obviously a different question. We haven't got onto him yet, but yeah, I think we should keep him, and potentially if this new lad from Hammarby, this 21-year-old, if he comes through the door as well, just to bolster our defensive numbers, then that's fine. But yeah, I think we should keep hold of Liam.
It's worth noting just on that, Joe. It's worth noting on that leadership is a very valuable asset to any player, and there's a reason why Liam Cooper has been our club captain for the last however many years under however many managers. Marcelo Bielsa had an opportunity to change it. He never changed it. We've had umpteen managers in that time, and everybody's seen him as the leader, even though he's not the best footballer. We know he's not the best footballer. We know he's got a mistake in him. He's got that label of League One Liam whenever he makes a mistake, which is awful, by the way. But yeah, for me, I mean, something that cannot be coached and be learned is leadership. So with that in mind, yeah, if we're going to phase people out, your Luke Aylings, to agree with Smarty, of that group, I think Liam probably would be one of the ones I would be looking to give a short extension to even just to phase out, and as we're bringing new players through it and teach them how to be lead sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with you. I know that a lot of the chat think it's lowering standards. This is why we don't progress and all this sort of stuff. But and Evie might go along with that sentiment when I pass over to her in a second. But we see this at a lot of football clubs. A lot of football clubs do this, people. You can't just throw everything out of the window. You can't just make a host of changes at once. And the club have to have this in mind. They don't know what the end of the season will look like. If they had a crystal ball and know they get promoted, they say, all right, Cooper, go speak to someone. But they don't know that. And Rodon's not signing for Leeds if we don't. So it's something to think about. But Evie, where do you stand on the old Liam Cooper chat?
I feel all three of you are going to hate me. I would like him to leave at the end. I would like him to leave at the end of the season. My point being that why are we giving an extension to a player who, yes, is completely Leeds? I get it, club captain, and has been chosen that for almost a decade now. So I get that. But Cresswell is also Leeds. Cresswell has come through the academy. So why are we not looking to our future, and why are we not bringing that Leeds spirit through in the future, rather than clinging to a player that over the last couple of seasons hasn't been mentally and practically good enough, but also his availability has been shocking. So, he scores the header, which obviously gets us on the way to getting the equaliser in the first game of the season, and then is out for a month and a bit afterwards. So we're rewarding somebody who has been criticised heavily on the pitch, and also isn't even on the pitch long enough to actually do much good. Yes, I don't disagree in the fact of he's done okay for the last couple of games, and he really has. I came on the other day and said that Cooper had played fine, and I wasn't insulting him or anything like that, because he did good, and when he can start at that left centre-back role with a right centre-back there, i.e. him and Rodon, rather than him and Struijk, then he does okay. But he does okay against a Birmingham team that looked hopeless. He did okay in the teams that just don't really offer much. And I think that we owe it to ourselves and our future to put our faith in the future, not in the past. And everybody deserves to bow out with dignity, be remembered as a club legend, rather than the player that we still have hold of. It's like the elderly relative that everybody's just waiting for them to kind of just drop down, because we're wondering what inheritance we might get. Kind of thing,
get the inheritance.
At the end of
I was
it.
going to say that.
So I just
can I give you a counter?
Can
I give you I guess a challenge to that though, right? So And obviously I know. So what I would say from a club's perspective, you've got Charlie Cresswell, who we would deem to be the future. Clearly, those at the football club don't agree. Clearly, the manager doesn't like him, and they could bring a fee in for him, right? Or you can pay Cooper a reduced wage for an extra year that's going to sit on a bench and not do anything, which is what Cresswell is going to do. Cresswell can't even get on the bench now. So from a business sense, if you don't see a future in Cresswell, which clearly Farke doesn't. If we're being totally honest, I don't think Farke does. Then isn't it smart to say, do you know what? We need a centre-back around the place. I've got Creswell here who's knocking on my door wanting to play every week, could cause issues. Or do we sell him, get a fee, and give Cooper another, 20 grand a week for a year contract, and then we're sorted. At least we know we've got a able body there.
Is he able? That's the point, because out of this season, he hasn't been available for as much as the Championship requires him to be available. And I completely agree. I don't think Farke sees a future with Cresswell, so I completely agree with. But if that's the case, I've said we needed another centre back at the beginning of the season before we even kicked a football, and I think the club has been neglectful of that position. It's been neglectful of centre backs, left back, and a striker. For me, if you get decent players in those positions, we maybe even stay up last season. I know that's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes. I get that, but it's the stability, it's the leaders. We didn't have any leaders on the pitch really last season. Like, we were just udderless and rudderless, so we were just pathetic. But you can have those leadership characteristics without having to have them in a 32-year-old person who has been struck with injuries throughout his career. Like, he was out, him, Phillips and Bamford were out the majority of that 21-22 season. And you can argue, you put those three players back in, Bielsa might not get the sack. If we have those three, players available, the spine of the team, we don't get Jesse Marsh in, and we save ourselves all of that headache and heartache. So even if Bielsa does go at the end of that season, we don't have to deal with, the American car salesman, as you call him, Joe.
I think it's worth. Sorry to go on, Evie. Sorry to interrupt.
No. Carry on, Luke.
I think it's just to go back to your point, Joe, about not seeing a future in Creswell and obviously Farke rating something about Cooper, whether it's be his technicality or whatever. We only see 90 minutes a week on a pitch. We don't see what goes on at Four Parks. We don't see what goes on, off the pitch and in training, in meetings. Cooper could, and that's my biggest worry, that we're all, or the majority of people who are judging Liam Cooper. By the way, when he came back the first season, we almost got relegated. We were much stronger defensively that season when we stayed up. Agree. So he did actually. I think he was one of our top performing players based on data and shit that I don't care about. But he was. We simply were a better team with him in the side. Now that's not the case, and I completely understand that. He's gone backwards, whereas we've gone forwards, I suppose. But I just don't want to be too black and white with this whole. He's too old. He's not fast enough. He's not good enough. That we see that week in, week out. We can all see that. We're not daft. We're not naive. However, there's something that every coach and every manager sees in him that probably somewhere we don't. That means that brings his value to us as a club and as a squad. So it's all good going laser focus and saying, look, you're shit. Go play for somebody else in the league for however much money a week. But actually, Joe's saying, even as a fourth choice or a fifth choice, just as a backup, just a player in around. I know he takes up a squad place. If it's going to cost you 15, 20 grand a week, sometimes that money is very well spent.
I agree.
And an important point that a lot of people seem to be looking over as well is it depends what league we're going to be in next season. We're not guaranteed to be promoted. We might well be down here, and we've got. I can only imagine the amount of heartache and headaches that are going to come at the end of the season when we've got to sort out all these players that have gone on loan as well. It's going to be a hell of a shift in personnel. Rodon might not come. He might go back to his parent club, and we're starting all over again. So, 100% agree with what you're saying, Evie. Totally. I don't think he's good enough in the long view, but currently, given what we've got and what might come back or might what leave, etc. Throwing the baby out with the dishwater, as they say, is probably not our wisest move. So.
Oh no, I completely get that, and I agree with you, Luke, about the whole getting rid of Alioski and Berardi and Pablo all in one season was a terrible mistake, and I couldn't believe that they didn't give an extension to, especially to Alioski, because he was probably the most able-bodied out of the three of them. I'm not saying he was the best technical player, but he was the one that was no, but you know what I mean? Like, he didn't, obviously Pablo was, twilight kind of years, and we weren't in the Championship anymore. We were in the Prem. So, but I fully agree with the whole, you can't throw, baby out with bathwater and everything. I get that, which is why.
Dishwater. He said dishwater.
Hey, sometimes you.
I can't even say it at all. I can't even say it at all, bro. So it doesn't matter.
Sometimes you might bath your kids in the sink. You never know. A couple of
only
dishes
only when they're tiny, though.
Exactly.
You probably get social
back in
services
90s, man. That was my upbringing, man. What you on about kettle and that bit of water? That was me, man.
Some fairy.
Was that what burned all your hair off, Joe?
Yeah, exactly, man. Watching me with fucking bleach.
But I just think that you can, Gray. I remember in that first game of the season when Somerville scored the equaliser, Gray went up to Somerville, and yes, he was celebrating, but he also grabbed the ball off him to say, we've got time to get another. We've got time to win the game. And that for me is a leader. So yes, he's 17, but he's the future. He is Leeds. He knows what it means to be Leeds. And Liam Cooper 100% knows what it means to be Leeds. And to be honest, out of him and Luke Ayling, I actually would have expected Cooper to get the offer of a higher up club than Luke Ayling. So if Middlesbrough, I'm not saying specifically Middlesbrough, but a Middlesbrough-esque club had have offered Cooper a contract, it would have surprised me less than Ayling, because for his position, he doesn't have to be as fast. Whereas if you're, a right back expecting to go a bit forward, you have to be able to recover. And we've seen quite a few times that Ayling hasn't been able to do that. So I do think that we have to get centre backs in regardless, even if we do get Cooper to stay, because we have to make plans for hopefully getting promoted, but we have to have options that if we do let Cresswell go and if we don't get up, we've got a whole new back line. We've got potentially 2-3 centre backs to get in the summer, and then we're coming from a position of weakness. Whereas right now, until Cresswell leaves, we've got 4 centre backs. So then we're coming from a position of strength. If we let Cresswell go first, we're coming from a necessity rather than a luxury. And I'd rather have clubs thinking that we're coming to get a luxury centre-back rather than needing a centre-back.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do just want to pull up some comments before I ask. We'll go around and see if people think to get a new deal. Easy B says, "What did these leaders achieve in the last 2 seasons? Farker won't gamble on mythical leaders." What I would say in response to that, Easy, is Farker says he's a leader, has already come out and said it. So I don't know where you're getting the mythical from, because it's come out of his mouth.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I mean, you can go back only one more season, and we can take a sample size which suits us all. The season before that, he led us to promotion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Jamie Law says some opinions seem to be acting as if we've no other leaders other than Cooper. What I would say in response to them: tell me who they are, and I'll chat to you. Tell me who they are, and I'll chat to you, because I'm not too sure that we have an awful lot at the football club, to be honest.
Didn't Cooper turn down Saudi as well at start of season?
Yes, he did, mate. Yeah,
which is something else that people seem to overlook. While everyone were abandoning ship, he were there trying to hold it all together.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a mic drop. They call in the business. Yeah,
I completely overlooked that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Right, let's just go around the houses, and I will put a poll in the chat as well, which I already think I know which way it's going to go. But we'll ask: Does Liam Cooper get a new deal? Yes or no? Smarty, I'll come to you first. Does Cooper get a new deal, mate?
I'm going to go yes, however, with a caveat of depending on what league we're in.
Okay. Cooper, new deal. Poll in the chat, folks. Vote in that poll. I know which way it's going to go. I think he does get a new deal just because of the lack of numbers there and the fact he's playing minutes, a bit like Luke did last season. I think Liam gets one this season just for an extra year, and that'll be that. Luke?
Irrespective of what league we're in, simply because of and people. I mean, I'm seeing people saying that Archie Gray is a leader. He's 17 years old. You can't expect him to lead, either a leading championship or potentially a Premier League side out in front of 40,000 people every week. We've got to have realistic expectations on this. So yes, for his leadership, even if it's in with the view to him moving into a coaching role or something along those lines, I'd be happy with as well.
100%. And Evie, does he get a new deal?
No.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I'll leave that poll in the chat. Someone just said poll in the chat. Click is back. I like that. That's quite good, actually, mate, to be fair.
I saw that.
Right. Before we move on to Patrick Bamford, I do just want to talk about another centre-back at the football club. Pascal Struijk. I'm going to have to come to Smarty. I was listening to Ought to Know Better 2 days ago now. And you and Gilly were like, yeah, this guy's not set for the Premier League. Do you think, and I'm not trying to dig anybody out, I'm just saying, like, do you think he needs replacing if we get promoted then, Struijk? Do you not rate him at all?
I do rate him in this, especially in this league. I think with a little bit of context, obviously, when me and Gilly were talking about Struijk briefly on Berardi and Cook, it was with obviously we'd just come off the back of 2 defeats. We weren't looking, particularly in good shape. For me, Struijk is also carrying the baggage of, being part of one of the worst defences that's ever existed in the Premier League. He's always going to be, dragging that around with him for this season anyway, that's for sure. But I think in context, I said that I'd see him as a more of a squad player in the long view, because I think we can get better than Struijk when we go back up to the Premier League. For now, I think he's a good player. I think he does well. I do think that Rodon is the better of the two. I know Luke has a different opinion. However, I'm sure he'll say his piece on that. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Struijk, he does a job well. Luckily, he's got Rodon there. It was a cracking player alongside him. Who's got a good set of legs on him as well. They seem to be doing the business together. So I can't really grumble. But yeah, Struijk going forward. Yeah, is it 24 Struijk? However you want to pronounce his name. So he's potentially got a lot of experience to gain, but he's never going to get any faster than he is at the minute. For me, he's not fast enough to be a top quality Premier League defender. That's my opinion. Obviously, the proof's in the pudding. Just look at what happened to us last year. So, but yeah, at the minute he's fine. But in the Premier League, I think we need to be going and trying to attract a better centre back. Definitely.
I think Luke's laughing, and he made me laugh when he seen the Chris Moyles' last week comment.
Oh, Chris Moyles. Well, I tell you what, it's an improvement on frigging Peter Sutcliffe that someone called me a few weeks ago. That's a cracker. Cheers, whoever you are.
He said it, and Luke laughed, and then I couldn't contain my laugh.
You get some belters, some real. What else have you had? What was the other one?
I can't remember.
Some belters, man, honestly.
Yeah, I get all sorts, mate. I think I've just got one of them faces.
Let me just clarify for Smarty as well. What he's not saying, chat, is that we should keep Cooper and sell Struijk. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, no, definitely not. He's saying Cooper, keep him around the place. Just if we were to go up, Struijk in the squad need an improvement. I mean, I disagree. I think Struijk's I think he's a great player, and I think he's very, very young. I think the way that he can pass a ball is phenomenal. Mr. Progressive carry, Mr. Progressive pass. We've seen the way that
cracking in a tackle as well.
Yeah, that penalty that he took the other day, man. Wow, that was a proper penalty.
Some balls on it.
Yeah, definitely top player. Evie, if
it were Gilly that you had here, this would be a completely different conversation, because I think he's got a little bit more of a bitter taste.
I've seen on Twitter
compared to myself. But yeah, no, I think he's a good player. I would expect us to sign better if we were to get promoted. That's all. That's my point. Yeah. Obviously, Adam Cooper can whistle as well.
Yeah, of course, if we got promoted.
If we get promoted, absolutely. But yeah, Struijk could drop down the pecking list for me.
Yeah, Evie, do you see Struijk being our starting left-sided centre back in the Prem?
I could see it, yeah, as long as he's got a good partnership, and as long as we never expect him to play left back again, because that absolutely sucked the life out of him for a year, being played out of position and then getting run past. Because like you said, Smarty, he is not fast, and you can't be a slow, if you want to be effective, especially in the Prem, you can't be a slow left back or right back. You have to have some pace on you, or you have to be positionally absolutely incredible, and he couldn't be positionally incredible because it wasn't his position to be incredible in the first place in. So I think it was a double whammy. He didn't have the speed to compensate, and he didn't have the positional awareness because that wasn't his position that he's been coached in, so I think that he would be fine. I think, like you said, if we go up, we don't have Cooper, because otherwise that would be ridiculous to have Pascal and Cooper as your left centre-back options on the bench. That's just, we're too back heavy at that point, especially because neither one of them can play right centre-back. So it would be pointless to have two left-footed centre-backs on the bench. But I think he can do well, and I think we also he came to us as a possession-based centre-back, and then all of a sudden, not only were we asking him to play out of position, but play a completely different formation, a completely different style. We were anti-football for a year and a half. So I don't think really we can properly judge him for the last year and a bit in the Premier League. I don't think, he was brilliant when he was under Bielsa, and we were brilliant as a team, as in the first season. I much preferred him. He was out. He played quite a lot because obviously, once again, Cooper was injured for a lot of that first season as well. So he played a lot of left centre back. And he was brilliant. So I think that he would be fine for us. I'm not disagreeing that we could get better, but I think when you're first going up, I don't think that's a position that we necessarily have to get a replacement for the first team. We have to get a replacement on the bench for me, a better replacement than Cooper. So for me, if we went up, Pascal's absolutely fine, because we would be doing the correct way of consolidating our position in the league, rather than trying to, skip a few years, get Europe, and then get relegated by mistake instead.
Yeah. Fairs. Let's talk about Patrick Bamford now, Luke. Your favourite subject, of course. Paddy Bamford
talk about Firpo, actually, on my favourite.
He's still shit. No, listen, if he comes on and gets 2 assists every week, I'll be happy with it, mate. It is what it is. Patrick Bamford, then, another one deemed to be part of the old guard, came on, and I don't want to rewrite history. He's had a terrible season for me. I know he's not played a hell of a lot of minutes, but when he has come on, he's looked poor. He hasn't been able to trap wind. Yes, he's run about a bit, but I haven't really done all. He started at the weekend. I thought he played well. He pulled the centre-backs left and right. He created a lot of space for the likes of Rutter and stuff, but we do have to caveat it by the fact that it was Birmingham City. Could he have done that against better teams, or teams that can defend better, away at West Brom, for example? And I think that Cardiff game will tell us, because I think he starts in that Cardiff game, and that's going to be a tough place for us to go. But do you? I can't say do we give Bamford an extension, because he's already on a long-term deal. But do you, if you can, sell him and bring in a replacement for him if you had the option to, Luke?
Look, let's not make no odds about it. I don't think Paddy Bamford's a fantastic footballer by any stretch. I think what he offers to this side and to us at the moment is something that nobody else can and nobody else does offer, and that's simply his movement and the way he pulls players around. He's an intelligent centre forward, albeit he's a centre forward who can't finish. If we could get somebody with Paddy Bamford's movement and Pirro's finishing, we'd be absolutely. I don't know. We'd probably have a £70 million striker on his hands. Do you know what I mean? Because he does do all the unselfish things really, really well. He makes those runs. He makes, he'll move about, but he's just frustrating. So I mean, if you can get any money for him, yeah, absolutely. But again, it depends where we are and what we're hoping to achieve. So. It'd be a case of thinking about this in the summer. It's probably not a question for now. It's probably when we know where we are next summer. If we're still in the Championship and we get offers, again, it would depend on value, who else is available. But ultimately, we need somebody like that in the team. Joel Pirro's shown that he can't do it. He's not that type of player. He doesn't move the defenders around. Great finisher.
Can I give you a name, bro?
Go for it.
that we spoke about on a couple of occasions. I think you've been on the shows and I've gone, good shout, good shout, good shout. And it's been reported in the last 24 hours that Bournemouth are willing to let him leave on loan. Kiefer Moore.
See, I do like Kiefer Moore. He's a big lump. He's a big lump. But again, I think of us as a different dynamic, but not one similar to what Patrick Bamford does. He's a big lump that, you know, you can hit it up to him and he's gonna hold the ball up well. He's gonna bring the wingers into play, probably the 10-2. So he will do it, but in a different way for me. Paddy is just so unselfish. He is like, I mean, I know he took that penalty when he probably shouldn't have done, so it's probably sort of contradictory that I'm saying he's unselfish. But actually, if you sit and just watch what Bamford does, and he hasn't had a great season, but what he actually does for us is he opens up so many different passing lanes and things we've been missing when teams have been sitting back. So when we've played your West Broms, your Sunderlands, your Sheff Wednesdays, your Rotherhams, the teams that were playing with 8, 9, 10 men behind the ball most of the time, had he started in those games, he would have moved those defenders around and ultimately, I believe, would have created that more space. I'm not saying he'd score in every game, and he'd probably get pelters for missing 3 or 4 chances in those games. But what he would have done is created that additional couple of seconds for our elite attacking line that we have got in this league to actually get beyond and get in behind. So, long way around answering your question, Joe. Would I keep him? Probably not.
After all that, fucking hell.
Would you replace him with Kiefer Moore if that was an option?
Wow.
Or do you just not? I really like Kiefer Moore, mate. I think he does a great job for us, man.
I do, just based on Paddy's injury record. I don't know what Kiefer Moore's injury record's like, but Paddy, we know how he's made what he's made of, and he's not made of the stern stuff, unfortunately.
Whereas Kiefer Moore's Welsh, we know Parker likes the Welsh boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's always saying that. You never know. I don't think he's shy. Those who are saying he's shy, he's not shy. You think he's shy?
Would it be on loan or a permanent, though?
I think they leave on loan.
Right. I was going to say,
I'm signing permanently. No,
he's 31. You know, like
I'm not advocating buying.
For that, we might as well give Luke Ayling, Cooper, Dallas with his broken legs. Give them all. Yeah, exactly. Give them all extensions.
Don't give me that option. I'll take it either. I'll take that option. Surely go on. What were you saying, Evie? Sorry.
I think if it's a loan, I don't see the harm in it. I think it offers a variety, and it's what I've said before: is we need competition, we need different players for different games. I think Bamford suits a low block team better than Pirro does, but maybe Pirro would suit it once you get him actually playing in a number 9 position. Then maybe he would suit it. Yes, he needs to work on his speed. For me, does Pirro, but like we need somebody. We need a set piece taker as well. Like we're just every time we get a set piece, we just might as well just give him the ball back because we don't do anything with it. So corners we're not too bad with, but as in free kicks, we're just give him the ball back and we'll just allow us to keep on playing, just play advantage every single time, even if we've lost the ball. So I just the thing with Bamford is that from a footballing sense, we need his characteristics, but not him, because we need a player that will continue to bully the defenders and just concern them and worry them. Even if it doesn't mean that he scores, it occupies 2 or 3 defenders. You know, he goes right up to the goalkeeper, and no offense to Dan James, but you've got Patrick Bamford who's over 6 foot, or Dan James who's 5'6". Who are you going to be more physically, scared by, kind of thing? And so it puts pressure on the goalkeepers that they make mistakes and they kick it to one of our players, which is what we saw at the Birmingham game. Not by the goalkeeper, but by one of the defenders after got passed the ball by the goalkeeper. So we need his characteristics. We need somebody who's fit and is actually available. My biggest problem with most of the old guard is their availability. It's not their passion. I think at this level, you can afford for them to be not as good, but you need them on the pitch. You're playing more games. So if you're not available, then what use are you, kind of thing. And I know that sounds really harsh, but we want to get out of this league. We don't want to be in this league, so we have to have the players that are available. So it doesn't make a business sense to get rid of Bamford because nobody's buying him. He hasn't done enough to be sold. I think unless he goes on and buys things, unless he goes on and scores a goal every other game, nobody's getting him in summer for the price that we would want him for. I'm not saying nobody would want him because he's still a good commodity at this level, but we're going to be losing money on him. And if we stay in this division, we're not selling Bamford because we would make a loss on him, and we're going to make losses on other players. So what's the point of making a loss on a player that can maybe still do a job for us? And that's not me saying I want to keep him. That's me thinking of it pragmatically and from a business point of view of unless we get promoted, we're not getting rid of Bamford.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Smarty, any thoughts on Bamford?
Oh, where do you start? For me, I mean, I've always been quite vocal of Bamford, but for me personally, is about as much use as tits on fish. I do not see his value to the team. I think yes, he had a good game on against Birmingham. Whoop-de-doo. Well done, Patrick. It's about time he hadn't fucking scored a decent goal since May 2021. Yeah, he needs to be getting rid of as soon as possible. He shouldn't have even been here at the start of the season for me. I've been quite vocal about it on our pod as Luke will obviously. Well, he might do. He might not. He might agree with me. But yeah, we need to get rid of him. He's absolutely shy. He offers nothing. For me, we need a player who's good in the air. Like, Evie said, we need someone who's obviously a hell of a lot more stronger than Bamford. With certain characteristics, he might be able to, pull me there and everywhere. But for me, we need players that will actually take a fucking shot from outside the box. Because it's all right trying to whip in crosses and try and play through do these little 1-2s around about 6 or 7 players, depending on what sort of style of defence we're playing against. It's all wasted. You might as well piss freely into the fucking wind. We need players that are going to take a chance and shoot from outside the box as well. Maybe a number 10. Again, players that can actually take set pieces. If you go back to Bielsa, we're always going to compare, certain managers to Bielsa. But how many outside of the box goals did we score? A hell of a frigging lot more than what we're scoring now. These are the kind of players that we need to make an impact on our team, and we don't have any. Very rarely will one of our players shoot from outside that box. And if you've got a congested box, you're not going to play through them. As we've seen many, many times, we can't break down teams that set up defensively against us. So what's your next option?
We did
shoot
against
from outside that box. Yeah, but Birmingham is shit though, aren't they, mate? I could start.
That's the level we're at. That's the
against
level of
Birmingham. I know that's
opposition
what I'm saying, but we should be beating teams like Birmingham convincingly because they let us play against them. They were shit. They had nothing about them. They were poor. But if you get someone who's got half an idea of how to defend against us, which we have seen, really relatively poor teams, we've got no answer. Start sticking some frigging balls into onion bag from distance. We are gonna progress through this league if we keep playing the way we're playing. So
I think that's a hard pass on Bamford then.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe? What are your thoughts on Bamford? What would you do with
it? I'm already getting called out in the chat for saying on a number of occasions, get him out of the club. What I did say before the game, though, I think stylistically, and I've said this on a number of times throughout the season, I think he'll suit being the 9 more so than seeing Rutter in the 9, Pirro in the 10. And that proved to be the case, right? Now, do I see Bamford having longevity past this season? No, I don't. Do I want him to? No. If you could offer me another striker tomorrow, I would take him, yes. I do love him. Yeah, I like him. Listen, people who were telling me in the chat, I do, because it's that squad, man. That Bielsa, that era, just fucking, just did something to me, man. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think it did something for a lot of Leeds United fans watching the Tribe for all them years that we did to then, boom, just turn it on, and he was a big part. But listen, even Bamford, the first season, when we didn't go up, he lost Richard Keogh, which led to the goal that was scored in the when they beat us 4-2 or whatever it was in the playoff semi at Ellen Road, man. And I said on all Leeds TV, I said, I do not want to see this guy pull on a Leeds United shirt again. So he's always had that sort of relationship.
It's your fault he got
United
injured.
fans.
You've been stabbing him like a little thingy dolls.
I've always had this with Bamford, man. I mean, come on, like, his finishing's always been a bit, he's always been a bit piss poor in front of goal. It was only just that one amazing.
Even the season we went up and he scored 17, he missed a lot of chances. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just remember that hat-trick against Villa and that goal against Leicester, and I'm like, he does have it in him. He does have it in him, but it's just too few and far between. Yeah, so I would replace him. I think the club
is divisive as well. Like him as
within
a character.
Within
the fan base he's quite divided. Very rare do you get people that sit on the fence with Bamford. They are usually Bamford in or Bamford out. And, obviously I do not condone any of the abuse or anything like that he as a person or his family or anything else has got. But I was glad when he scored and he didn't do any weird hand gestures, cupping the ears or anything, because for me, I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional when he scored. I actually got emotional. Like, I started to well up because I was like, I felt so overwhelmed with the fact that a player that I've done nothing other than swear at for 2 years had actually got a goal. And and he played well. He did play well. Yes, he got caught offside after the first 45 seconds of the game, so I kind of rolled my eyes and thought that this was where it was going to continue, kind of thing. But I felt good for him. Do I want him long term? No, because it's taken 3 years for me to feel overjoyed for him, and you shouldn't have that. It's a fleeting career, and if everybody, like you said, that the Villa hat trick, that was 3 seasons ago. Like, we should be able to have better memories. No, but what I'm not saying you can't have your moment. I'm just saying we should have had those moments. Yeah. We should have those moments.
We wouldn't be in this league. Sorry.
It was a team effort. We didn't get relegated just because of him, but unfortunately,
that Leicester miss though. That Leicester miss.
But you do remember the misses. Yeah, you don't remember. We conceded so many goals that you just can't remember the goals that we conceded. But you do remember the goals that we missed.
You're only as good as your last game. My biggest memory of him so far was picking up that penalty against, was it Stoke?
Yeah.
It just picked it up and absolutely spooned it. But then he's had a really good game this last game, and I'm almost thinking, do you know what? He could do a job for us. And it's the fickle life of a football fan, and we're always going to be like this.
Yeah, no, exactly. And people say different, but we're all fickle.
You're right there saying fickle, because when he gets substituted. I mean, I sit in the south stand, and people will actually audibly boo him, which I do not agree with. You can say what you want personally, but I would never, ever in a million dreams, boo a player that's coming onto a field. I mean, what do people think? And then he has a good game on Saturday, and then people are clapping his name and going, singing his name. It's like, what am I actually hearing? Where are you people coming from? It's crazy. Fickle football fans, mate. Honestly, it's mental.
We are, man. Listen. The perfect point, and I always use it now as a reference point because it's more recent, is Wilfried Gnonto, because I was calling him a rat, and now I'm like, do you know what I mean? We accept it. People in the chat will go to me, I wouldn't dare take Sinisterra back, and I always go, we took Gnonto back. So everyone will say it, but if he came and he scored some goals, they would take him back. I think anyway, but it is what it is.
I personally wouldn't.
Well, we'll see when he's scoring an hat trick. What I will say though, just on Gnonto, no, you're not having him. I forget which podcast it were on. Can't remember now off the top of my head. But on Gnonto, do you think his regression in performances, because he's been piss poor, even when coming off the bench, he's been piss poor. Do you think we need a clean break on Gnonto just to finish up? Because I almost feel that, because of what happened in the summer, he's not going to refine that form that he had at Leeds United last season. I feel that maybe he's too much in his head. We're not that arsed anymore, and therefore we just need to say, do you know what, let's cut losses, or do we need to give him time to refine that form?
Yeah, slightly disagree. I think he's been quite effective over the last few games when he has come on, but nowhere near as effective you expect him to be, given the performances of last season. But, you know, he was our go-to man. He was our Somerville of last season when he in the Premier League. Give it to Gnonto, make something happen. So I do. I mean, he has looked quite sprightly when he's come on in a couple of occasions this season, and almost looked like he wants it, but. But yeah, I think on the whole, I probably agree with you. I think it is time. I think if we can get a decent wedge in for him, then bring somebody else in of similar sort of player. Then yeah.
What's a decent wedge for you, Luke?
I think we stick to his guns with the 30 mil that we stuck to in the summer.
Yeah,
I think he's worth that because I think he has got a really high ceiling. I think there's a reason why he was playing for the Italian national side at such a young age and actually playing well for them. As you say, people will recognise that he's not cutting the mustard this season, but they will understand that there's potentially an underlying issue there of some sort, and that if they can get him back to his best, he's a 50-60 million pound player overnight, pretty much. If they pay,
that's the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, it's what you see. What you see is what you get, and he's not even making it into a starting position in the team. So to demand such an high number for him is going to be a tough ask, I think.
Oh no, I agree, but I think we have to stick to it. He's on a long-term contract.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I stick to your guns, but given the opportunity, I think I'd sell on an heartbeat.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, you struggle now to ever get that money again. Because if he doesn't play this season and then we go into next season and he's a bit back, all that's happening is his value's depreciating. So at some point, Leeds are going to have to go, do you know what? We ballsed up in the summer, which they should have kept him in the summer, by the way, because we all thought he'd be doing Somerville things. But whatever's happened, it's not worked out this season. And, the Italian manager's talking about all these young prospects and Willie Gnonto's never mentioned anymore. So even he's probably thinking, look, my career's stalling here a little bit. I know he's still young, but it might be best for all parties. Go on.
I thought that Gnonto was doing really well with his cameo appearances up until the last 3 games, because for me, he was at fault for the goal that we conceded against Preston that meant we lost the game, because he was fannying around with it up the pitch instead of just keeping it and then passing it to somebody. He kept it for too long. He was trying to be too fancy. When we were shit that game, we didn't have the right to be fancy. We had the right to get a point in that game, and it would have been a well-earned point, probably a point better than we did deserve because we were crap. But and then as well, the free kick on the edge of the box that Firpo gave away was actually because Gnonto lost the ball again. Firpo was trying to backtrack to cover him. The player actually grabs the back of Firpo's leg at the same time. So for me, it shouldn't have been a free kick either. He was actually fouled. So it was a 50-50. I don't think anything should have been given for that. So he's actually... and if Birmingham could, finish the dinner, then they'd have scored against us at that point, kind of thing. But they just had no confidence by that point. But for me, Gnonto hasn't made the most of his, he's played really well in his 15, 20, 25-minute cameos. And then when he's had the chance, A, to start and B, to come on for longer periods of time over the last few games, he hasn't done anything with it. And in fact, but the irony is I actually think he would do better in the Premier League than he does in the Championship, because in the Premier League, his petulance earns him free kicks. In the Championship, it doesn't. So I actually, for as stupid as it sounds, I actually think he's a better Premier League player than a Championship player, because he spends half his time gobbing off at referees that he earns himself a yellow card. I think there's only Gruev that has more yellow cards than minutes than he does, kind of thing. So I don't. But in the Premier League, it works. In the Championship, it doesn't. So I think I think realistically, as much as I would love the club to hold out for 30 million, because of the lack of minutes and the lack of actual contribution that he has made, he hasn't made an impact for months, really. As in, the eye test says different, but the stats say something different again. And when you're looking at a player, we all look at stats. For as much as I know, Luke, you don't like stats, when it comes to actually acquiring a player, stats are important. Goals and assists and everything are important. And he hasn't done anything for such a long time that I think, unfortunately, the 30 million, unless he starts whipping out some goals for fun in January, is gone, I think 20 million is probably the maximum that we could hope to achieve.
It's worth noting,
for
though,
that.
we're in an inflated market in January anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, an Everton or if they really truly wanted him, which they probably don't now anyway, but they're going to have continued scouting him. They would have been to games. Then I still feel we'd hold out for around that. I think we'll stick to his guns. I don't think we'll sell him.
I'd love it. I'd love us to, but I would hate for people to get angry.
I don't think he's worth
if
that,
they don't.
by the way. I get where you're coming from. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he's worth that on based on current form, but based on his potential and his ceiling, we've seen how good he can be, and other clubs will be aware of that, and they'll have people talking to him about, they'll have psychologists that are saying, well, he's behaving like this because of this, and they'll know a lot more than us ultimately.
100%.
Oh yeah,
100%. We're up towards the hour, so I just want to draw to a close. But Cooper New Deal, 67% of people said no, so big up to them 33 odd. Just to finish up, because we were asked these questions, Dave Pashley says, what's the panel's take on Sonny Perkins' return to Ellen Road? Played a total of 7 minutes across 3 games. 3 games, that is. Doesn't look like a great acquisition at this point, does it? I don't know if he can go back out on loan now. I don't think.
Has he played for us this season?
He did against Cardiff, bro. He came on, in the opening game. I thought this, but he actually did in the opening game. Wow. Someone showed me. So he's going to now be in the under-21s. So I was told it's his attitude. He got given quite a bit of money. Obviously, when he signed from West Ham, if you remember, he'd had Europa League appearances. Leeds United say, we'll take you, give him money, and he's probably earning wedge and then going to places like Oxford thinking, I'm not playing here. I'm better than this. I don't know what we do there. Like, what do we think on Sonny Perkins? Because I've seen a lot of the comments saying just in time for the FA Cup game and that, and I'm thinking he's nowhere fucking near it, man. So another poor buy, do we think? Or
I think based on what you said, yeah. I actually know a bloke who I'm gonna bump into him at the Peterborough game at the weekend who coached him through the youth. So I'll try and do a little bit of digging around that. But he said he was absolutely mustard and he arguably the best player he'd ever coached. So what's gone wrong? Don't know. But when he's actually played for us, he's looked all right at Cardiff last season when he came on in the cup, scored the equaliser to earn a replay. He was doing bits in the 21s when he was playing alongside Joseph and Joffrey and everybody else. So something's not right somewhere. So yeah, I expect it probably is an attitude. If he's getting,
it's not great for him to just get 7 minutes in 3 games as well. Not even just one game across 3.
Isn't the coach out there thingy? Jacko
Oxford. No, he was at MK Dons.
MK Dons, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. He got sacked as well shortly.
We've sent a few players to Oxford, though, right? We sent Lewis Bate there as well, wasn't it?
Went there,
So
and he played almost every game.
We have a good relationship with Oxford. So the fact that then we've recalled him, probably to get him in the under-21s, to get him some minutes, I don't know. It's not looking tough great. One, it was well thought of. Yeah, definitely.
It's a tough one because we haven't seen him bloody play, and that's the end of it, really. I'd be more tempted to give McGurk a shout because I'd really love to see what he can do in first team. But,
be interesting.
You just don't see him, do you? You don't see McGurk either.
No. Hopefully there will be some changes for Sunday's game against Peterborough. Listen, folks, we've done an hour. I want to thank the fantastic guests tonight. We had crazy numbers tonight, over 800 people at one point this time of night, which is absolutely fantastic. So please do smash a like on the video. Make sure you check out Luke and Smarty over at Auto Know Better, and make sure you check out Evie as well across socials. I think channel may be coming soon. We'll have to wait and see. But listen, thanks as always for watching. Smash a like on your way out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, folks. And bye for now and all that.